Hey, little mama, I got a question for you. Are you a little worried about the crazies that are going on in the school system and the government and what they're doing with your kids and what they're not doing with your kids? And is it really in your school? And like, what do you need to do? We want to say, not my kid, not my school. We really do. And you know what? For a really long time, you kind of could say that. Now, we're not going to be talking about deep political things. We're not going to bring out CRT and all that other stuff, although it needs to be discussed. What we're going to talk about today is what you can do and how to have the energy and the tenacity to do it and not be intimidated. I'm going to tell you a little story. Little Miss Mona used to be just like you. Back in the day, they were bringing stuff into the schools. And you know what? Me and my girlfriends, we didn't have the internet. We just had the net, the mama net. And we got together and we're like, what the heck? Did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? And then we got together. We did what we were supposed to do. We went and talked to our teachers. And then they said we couldn't see stuff and all of that. And then we went and kind of looked and found a way. We made phone calls, with the long cord, with babies under our feet. And we learned the things that we could do and the things that we could not do. And then we went to the principal and kind of got the same runaround. One time we went to the principal and they had someone taking notes of our conversation. Oh, well, that time we brought our husbands. There was about 10 of us. And we're like, well, we need to know exactly what you're doing here. And we're not trying to be mean. We just want to be informed. And that didn't work either. So we had to go to the school board. And we had to press a little harder. And yes, we had to go to the school board a bunch of times. We had to get babysitters. We couldn't watch it online and just, email them. We had to write real letters. We had to write real letters to our friends. Now, I'm telling you that, and we did get change. We did get change. But I'm so sorry. I want you to know from the bottom of my heart, we worked as hard as we could. We really did. I wish we could have made it good for y'all, and you wouldn't have to be in the position you're in. But the enemy's the enemy, and we fought. We really did. And now it's your turn. You're not alone. There are pioneer women that have come behind you. And me and my guest today are one of those. I want you to know that you come from a long line of moms that have changed things and have made things better for their children. Not because they're mad or they want to be pushy or brass. It's because their heart is for their children and they know when something's not right. You know that old thing about Mama Bear? Don't poke Mama Bear? Well, that's probably true. But you don't have to be a bear to get anything done. You just have to be very cunning and you have to be smart. And the helicopter mom they keep telling you about? You need to be a helicopter mom, sweetie. A helicopter mom isn't like hovering over, making sure her little boy doesn't fall down on the playground. No, helicopter mom is looking around. She's circling around. She sees what's going on in the ground from a high level, from God's level, from the way God sees things. And she's got her eye on what's going on that ground. And I got to tell you something. Do you know why she uses a helicopter and she doesn't use a drone? Because she wants to be up there to see it for herself. And she doesn't use an airplane either because that's way too high. No, she uses a helicopter because let me tell you something. A helicopter can drop on a dime. Can drop on a dime. If you start messing with my kids, I'm going to drop my helicopter down there and we're going to have a chat. Now, I had a woman tell me one day, some of you have heard this story. She said, oh, you're a helicopter mom. You're just hovering over your kids, this and that. And I had just about had enough of what had gone in the conversation beforehand. And I leaned in and I told her, that's right. And I'm about ready to land this thing. So little girl, you better back up. These blades are sharp. Well, we did what we could. And actually now it's your turn. But we haven't left you alone. Like Titus 2 says, the older women are supposed to teach the younger women. So here we are. We're going to teach you. And my friend Tamra is here today. And she and I are going to give you a wonderful, wonderful lesson in how you can make things better for you and your kids in their education. So let's get to it. Welcome to the Moms Like Us podcast, where moms just like you learn strategies, systems, and skills through expert interviews and real-life insight designed to take your marriage, mothering, and home to the expert level. Hi, I'm Mona Corwin, your mom mentor and host, author, international speaker, and the founder of the Moms Like Us Academy. I've been coaching moms for over 25 years, and I have some really good news for you. Motherhood isn't a natural talent. It's a skill, and you can learn it. You can crush it at motherhood instead of motherhood crushing you. So let's get to today's show. Hey there. There she is. I've got to unblock her. Are you muted? You're not muted. Tamra.
Hi.
You are. You're not muted. I'm so excited. Well, I was going to read your bio before I got you on here, but now you're just going to have to sit and smile as I brag about you to all the girls that are here. Okay. Tamra Farah is Farrar. I'm sorry. Right? Farah. Why did I think it was Farrar? Okay. Farah. That's right. I just know you, Tamra. Okay. So Tamra is the Senior Director of MomForce in Moms for America. Tamra and her husband, Barry, have 2 adult children, and they live in Colorado and Arizona. How fun is that? They get the best of both worlds. Tamra serves as the Senior Director of MomForce, which we're going to tell you about, in Moms for America. It is the K through 12 education and school board initiative, and she is also in charge of Mom Vote. Not afraid to get involved, Tamra has served on several boards and committees, including the Colorado Women's Chamber, American Enterprise Institute Leadership Network, and the Conservative Education Reform Network. Wow, those all sound so cool. Tamra has worked in policy and politics for over 15 years and has served as the Deputy State Director of Americans for Prosperity in Colorado, the Executive Director of the Crisis Pregnancy Centers, and the Director of Human Trafficking Legislative Day at the Colorado State Capitol. She is a fantastic communicator, doing TV appearances, public relations, and working on many campaigns as a strategist on local, state, and federal campaigns. Get ready to be empowered today. Moms, you're in for a treat. Tamra, I know you're sitting there being very, very humble, but that isn't even the full list. And I'm just really, really excited to get to meet you. We've gotten to know one another through Moms for America, and I am just honored to have you on our show today.
I'm just thrilled to be here with you, Mona. I just love your heart for moms and for mentoring. You're just a beautiful soul. So I'm so thrilled to be here.
You're so sweet. Well, our goal is to help moms. Why don't you tell the moms a little bit about the passion that you had to do this? It didn't start 4 days ago. You've actually been an activist, kind of like me. I've just been doing the school thing, but you've been an activist all over. Like, how did that happen for you?
You know, I think I was born that way. It's just one of those things. God put it inside of me. And, you know, my first foray into activism, if you will, was in the pro-life movement. And, you know, kind of like God has given me a passion to try and help moms and their kids with what they're facing in schools right now, which we will talk about later. And it broke my heart. And I would go on my prayer walks and cry and just say, Lord, how can I help? Well, that's how it started for me in my 20s with the pro-life movement and learning more about abortion and what was happening to these babies, and then these moms that were in crisis pregnancies, these young girls, and I just thought, oh Lord, I want to help. I want to help save the babies. And so I think it's just, you know, God puts different things in different people, and I guess I'm just dumb enough to just go headlong into it and figure it out as I go. But it's always driven by my heart.
Yeah, I can testify. I can testify that about you, just for the short time that we've been knowing one another, and I think that's really true. That it's a point to be made for you moms that God has placed something special in your gifts and talents that
Mhm.
are important to be used for your family first
Mhm.
and then out to the world afterwards. Your gifts and talents aren't really for yourself, they're really for everybody else. Now, we talk about that kind of stuff in the Moms Like Us Academy. And if you're in the academy, then you already know your gifts and strengths and you already know all the things that God's created you to be. And if you're not in the Moms Like Us Academy, sign up for the wait list. We open soon. Okay, had to give that little plug because it's hard to do this kind of stuff on your own, isn't it?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I just think, and some of the women listening to you, may not even be moms, right? But whether you are a mom of children or you love children and you nurture and care for them in any way you can, it still demonstrates that God has put within women a life giving nature. Now, sometimes women are wounded and they're hurt, and it hurts that life giving
Yeah.
nature. And our hearts go out. We want to nurture those women and encourage them, but in just that natural flow of who God made us, we have that passion to protect, to give life. I mean, I'm an adoptive mom, so I didn't birth children, but still to give life. I was able to adopt my children, and I just pour my life into them. That's something that's from God. And I believe this is what we're seeing in this movement, this rising up of mama bears to protect their kids in schools and or their grandchildren. And that comes from that life-giving spirit, from God, and nature from God. And it's almost like parent moms that were otherwise not thinking of themselves as courageous or bold, all of a sudden, I mean, watch out, here they come, you're messing with my cubs.
They're coming down with their helicopter.
That's right. I mean, I guarantee you, I would guess that if we did a survey of these moms that have spoken up at these school board meetings, I bet most of them haven't spoken in public before. And most women are terrified to speak in public, but it's like, no, you messing with my child, I'm coming in. So we just encourage moms in that. God's put that in them. So we want to fan those flames for sure.
Well, that's what I want to talk about today is how to encourage moms to be able to be bold, not to be intimidated by that's hard to go and talk to anybody and like when they say no, like press a little harder. I remember it
Yeah.
was so scary. Of course, I wasn't I am like one of those that was one of my gifts, like just to go ahead and let it all out.
Yes, yes. And you and I are probably a little bit more alike. And of course, my kids are grown. Our son is 33. He's married. Our daughter's 29. So, and I think you have older kids too. And so we become more comfortable with ourselves as we get older and not quite as worried. Like if we make a mistake or we say the wrong thing, just apologize or move on. And, honestly, that's one of the biggest things to encourage moms in is we don't have to be perfect. You don't have to say everything perfect. I think I look back when I was younger, I thought I had to be. Maybe I didn't even consciously wake up and think that, but you just kind of feel a little more like, well, am I doing this right? And then after a while, you just learn, just trying, just getting out there, just doing what we can, and just staying humble. And if we make a mistake or we want to say something better, we can just, flow with that and go with that. But I think one of the biggest things, I love to think about different Bible stories, and I think you probably do too, Mona. Just even Gideon. Yeah, I love that's such a great story because God had this absolutely huge mission for him, and of course he's like timid and he's like hiding and he's kind of like freaking out. And then the angel of the Lord shows up and says, basically, arise, Gideon, mighty warrior. And I feel like that's the biggest thing for us as women is just to soak in the word of God. I think the word of God has been a huge, huge part of my life. If I were to say, well, if people were like, well, Tamra, what's your secret? I'm not any different than any other person or human. We all fight fear. We all fight intimidation. We all fight, will this work? Or what if I mess up? All the things we've been talking about. And I think it's like Gideon. We have to hear what God has to say about us, not what the enemy or naysayers have to say. And I've soaked in that for over 40 years, making declarations of scripture. And so, yeah, even if I'm down, this is what I do. I proclaim those things, and that becomes a habit. And so, no weapon formed against me will prosper. The Lord is with us. The Lord is for us. Who can be against us? And so, just simple things like that. I really encourage moms out there, Christian moms, to proclaim those things and speak them out. Even if you feel like Gideon, like you kind of want to hide and say, oh, there's no way I can do any of this. But just remember, God is saying, yes, you can with my strength and with who I made you, you can do it.
And one thing I remember is standing at the school board looking at, now, most people might not know the people on their school board, but I knew those people. We were in a small town, and I would look at them and they were all just like, they put these faces on. I don't know why they do that. They don't smile, they don't encourage you. So don't expect anybody to encourage you from the thing. Just know that they're in awe of you, and that's why their faces are. My
Well, I can
daughter,
imagine.
yeah,
Yeah, I'll
really.
speak. You finish your story.
Okay. My oldest daughter, which is I have 5 kids. So for those of you that don't know, I have 5 kids from 25 to 42. So just all in there. But my oldest daughter recently, about, well, gosh, 3 or 4 years ago, she gave me this necklace and it says Mama Warrior on it. And I remember thinking, I've never used that term, but that's the way she saw me. And I didn't realize how much I had to fight for my kids. And if you're not thinking you're going to have to fight for your kids, sweetie, I'm so sorry, but you are. You are. There's
Yes.
going to be something you need to fight for. And so, Tamara will agree that the best place to start is in prayer and say, is this something that my child needs to change, or I need to go and, oh, my crystal glass, did you hear it?
Ooh,
Ding.
what a gorgeous sound.
Of course. Of course I have crystal glass. Um, why drink out of anything else, Tamara? I am a mama warrior.
You go, girl.
Oh, yes, so true. But just to know that you will have to do battle. Ask the
Hmm.
Lord how to do battle, when to do battle, not if you're supposed to battle, because you will.
Yeah.
You'll need to. You absolutely will need to. And Tamara, let's get specific. Now, we're not going to talk CRT and all that other stuff, but we need to talk about something that came up in Missouri recently. And that can really be time, not locked in time at all, because this has been going on for a while. It went on when
Hmm.
I was fighting, and it's like it's the thing they try to pull first, because the most important thing they want is for you to be quiet and to go away. So you're going to get a no first, right? What did Missouri do?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to speak to that, but really quick before I do, just back to the school board members and their faces. So first of all, they are trained to react to parents in a certain manner
You are
uh, by,
kidding.
by the school board associations. So you've got those state level and then you've got the national level. And they, at the second they become a school board member, they start getting the emails and invited to these meetings and these trainings. And they are given instructions on how not to respond to parents. And the long faces, it's all a part of what they're trained in and the demeanor that they're to have and the types of reactions. And it makes me, since we're talking about scripture, because we're talking to Christian moms, it makes me think of the prophet Jeremiah, where God said, don't look at, was it Jeremiah? Don't look at their faces.
I
When,
think that was Nehemiah who was
thank
on the
you.
wall.
Thank you. Thank you. So I couldn't remember which prophet, but the Lord said, don't look at their face. Here's the word I have for you to give, but don't look at their faces.
Oh, he did
And
say it to
so,
Jeremiah too. Yes, he did.
yeah, and and this is what you were saying, to not be intimidated when you go in and speak, or when you go to talk to the principal. If you join our thing that we'll talk about later called Operation Parental Rights, and we're going to equip you to go in and talk to your principal, go in and talk to these teachers, and it's like to not be intimidated and get under that. So it's so important. And the battle is the Lord's, so you don't have to worry if you're going to win that moment or not, because we are trusting God ultimately, and that's where we don't need to get discouraged. Because a lot of parents get discouraged. Well, it didn't make any difference, but it is making a difference, even if we can't see it in the short run. So I just encourage everyone in that. But yes, incident in Missouri. So basically, the Missouri School Board, as you know, Mona, School Board Association informed and kind of advised these schools that they do not need to share with the parents these gender conversations or gender identity conversations that they have with students. When federal law very explicitly says that parents have the right to view, discuss, and even challenge all of the records related to their student.
Yeah,
And
that doesn't, it's not just the gender thing. If you are thinking that there's some bullying going on and there's a teacher that had talked to your daughter, the teacher took me and talked me outside, you have a right to go find out what that was.
absolutely. And it, like I said, it is explicitly stated in federal law. And this is where we're going to be empowering parents. And as I teach on your academy about parental rights, people will become empowered to understand and learn what their rights are. The bottom line is, many of us don't know our rights. So how can we stand up for something we don't know? It's the same as a Christian. If you don't know God's word and what he says about you, you probably won't feel very good about yourself because, the world and the enemy of our souls is always trying to make us not feel good about ourselves. So unless we replace that, and it's the same thing with the truth about these laws and about our rights, we have to understand them in order to exercise them. So what they've done is in violation. And this is what we're seeing. Um, Today, not just in the area of education, but in all different policy areas, we are seeing the left, the radical left, ignore the law. And what they do when they do that and they defy the law is they push it to us to fight and go to court, which takes time, money, and effort away from many other things. And they've got us running. When I say us, I just mean conservatives who love the Constitution and who believe in the rule of law. All of us over there loving that, they want us scattered and fighting all these fires where the law would only be able to be upheld by it winding through the courts and being reaffirmed in the court. And this is the environment that we are in. And so this is the same thing with what happened in Missouri, where they're saying, oh no, we're not going to show that to you as a parent. We don't have to. They're defying the law. And so now what are parents going to do? They're going to have to sue. How many parents can sue? How many parents can get connected with some of the groups that are willing to take on lawsuits? But will it be the specific type of lawsuit that the parent would actually need to have to fight that specific battle? So you can see the environment that we're in. But I think nonetheless, we can never stop letting our voice be heard, even if it looks like it's not making a difference.
Tamara, I know that being sued, or suing the school board is one thing, but there's a few steps maybe that we could do in between, like our first visit and them saying no, and then actually going, okay, crud, now we got to sue them. So, what are some of those steps?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I like what you said before too. Just even your wonderful testimony that is such a great example for moms here in this conversation today. And that is just don't give up. Like keep going back, be persistent, be that persistent widow. It's not like, oh, well, they didn't listen to me today. We certainly wouldn't want to say take extreme action right after that, but just to continue to come back. And as I mentioned, we can talk about it more later, we are launching Operation Parental Rights, where we are empowering and equipping moms and dads that are willing to go to their principal, go to their kids' actual teacher, have conversations. The federal law says that parents have the right to have regular, meaningful conversations. Like that language is in the law with the teachers. And parents are so intimidated since COVID. And I know we're all kind of waiting to see if they're even going to let parents back in the schools, but certainly they can at least go to the office and, bring this letter that we're going to prepare for them that explains the law. It's graciously written, and the parent can go in and discuss it, but then also leave it with them. And we're wanting them to gather the information related to the reaction. Um, and if it's legal in that state to record someone without their knowledge, to record that conversation. and gather that. So if they say, no, we don't do that, well, then we have them on record saying they're violating, you know, the law. And so, there's different tactics that we can take. So I do love that thought. Yeah, we don't want to just rush to the courts, but there are, on the other hand, a number of organizations that are stepping up and looking for parents that are interested in being named in lawsuits or being plaintiffs because of the violation, even of their religious liberty.
Mhm.
They have a right to opt their children out of this sex ed that, even just on the grounds of religious liberty, it violates their beliefs for their children to see these types of books. So,
But and remember, moms, that their first goal is to get you to be quiet, and so they more than likely will say no. And when that
right.
happens, you just need to know that no don't mean no, and that things change, and
Mhm.
everybody wants rules to be broken. Well, like, well, we're not going to follow all the old rules. Well, you know what? Maybe we're not either.
Right.
Maybe
Yes.
we're going to keep coming back in. And if your teacher says no, then you go to your principal. And then if the principal says no, you go to the school board. And if the school board says no, then you come back, or you are prepared with the federal law in
Right.
writing, and just go ahead and pass it out to those members. And if you have to come
Yes.
back the next time and the next time, it will familiarize them with the fact that a federal law overturns or overrules a school board saying, we think we're going to make this rule now, because they don't get to
Mhm.
make those rules now. What they want you
Right.
to do is either be quiet or go away. And so
That's right.
some moms and dads feel called to public school, and they feel like they're supposed to be there. If your child
Mhm.
is in public school and you feel like they need to be the light of the world, lean in a
Mhm.
little closer, because little mama's got little Miss Mona has something to say to you, little mama. And with my loving heart and my sweet, sweet voice, I want you to hear. If you expect your children to be light in the public school system, then you, my love, are going to have to be light and a roaring voice inside the
Mhm.
school board and the rules that are governing your children. You can't just
Yes.
no longer just send them in there to be a light, to be a light. You
Mhm.
have to be a covering for them. Now, remember, a covering doesn't drown out a light. A covering can actually illuminate a light. And you are
Mhm.
to be the covering for your children. So that's little loving talk. So you can lean back now and keep taking notes from Tamra.
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me about MomForce.
Mhm. So,
What?
MomForce, yes. So, first of all, I was, in semi retirement. I had worked for decades on so many things. And one day I just felt like the Lord spoke to my heart and he said, I have something else for you to do. And I was like, oh, really? Like, I was kind of enjoying, hanging out with my adult kids and doing a little political commentary, but not being as, quite as busy. But then, like I said to you, I was, of course, always keeping up with the news and reading all these things and seeing all these news reports about what kids were being exposed to in schools. And it's breaking my heart. And I'm weeping on my prayer walks and I'm saying, God, what can I do? Well, it was after that, and I wasn't putting two and two together right away. But basically, my husband knew Kimberly Fletcher before I did. He was an advisor to her. And of course, now he's our chairman and chairman of the board of Moms for America. But anyway, he, had told me about her, and I hadn't thought of getting involved, because I was kind of doing other things, and like I said, but after I was praying, it just came upon my heart to call Kimberly and talk with her about it, ask her what were they engaging in this, and she said, well, we're really not, but we know it's an issue we would love to be getting involved in. And I said, well, if you'd like me to, I'll do some research for you. And so she said, well, call Katie Gorka at Heritage Foundation, call Laura Zork at Freedom Works, and, all these different people, because of course, Kimberly's wonderful and has these networks and she's very great at collaborating, which is a passion of mine as well. I love to coordinate, collaborate with other organizations, and I have dozens that I talk to or at least interact with on some level. since being with Moms for America, because we're going to be stronger together, and we're going to be able to solve some of these bigger problems more effectively together. Right now, I'm joining an effort with Alliance for Defending Freedom and Heritage and the Family Policy Institutes across the country as just one of many organizations, joining with them as they fight this battle in schools. So that's just one example. So one thing led to the other, and as I did all my research, I just began to realize, and learn, and did a lot of just dozens and dozens of hours of research and understanding all of what was happening in schools, all of the dangerous curriculum, and who were the power brokers in schools, who really is in control, and just learning all of that. And so now it's important to pass that information along to moms. But like you were saying, we don't want to just overwhelm them with the bad news. We want to have, that's why we have Operation Parental Rights. We want to also have good action steps that they can take. We can't guarantee outcomes, but we equip moms, we empower them, we train them to understand their rights, to understand how to respond to what is happening with their children, to understand their educational choice options. This is Educational Choice Month, I think you said, for you. And we have tons of those options. I mean, my husband and I helped start one of the largest classical charter schools in Colorado, and we loved having our kids there. We started that in the late 90s. But you know what? We always had the attitude that whatever's best for our kids, we will do it. And it came time when our daughter hit junior high that she just wasn't thriving there academically. So I homeschooled her through junior high. And then our son, went to the public school to play football. And then that really, we weren't so sure about that environment. So they both did online high school and did sports and did other activities and groups. And so, you just never know, moms, what kind of choices you need to make. So we also educate moms on those educational choices, as well as engaging with their school boards and how to do that effectively. I've talked to so many moms all across the country with all different stories, and just helping them and mentoring them and how to be effective. And then, of course, if they want to run for school board, we get them connected. And if they run and win, we also have resources with Dr. Kelly Coles and the National School Board Leadership Council, which is an alternative to the National Association, of a School Board Association, which is, of course, very far left. So I know that's a mouthful. That's a lot of stuff, but, there's a lot going on. So we have to continue to build out those resources and trainings that can really support moms and empower them. I think that's a lot.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was just saying, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything to say other than I was so excited. I have to tell you, and the girls need to know that Tamra and Kimberly and anything that they would send you to is going to be a conservative, Christian, moral, values, patriotic, and you can count on the fact that they are all doing these things out of the bottom of their hearts, and they are literally giving sacrificially every single day. I know, Tamra, that you're giving. Kimberly's giving. I mean, I'm giving. Like I'm with you. I could literally some days I'm like, why am I doing this again? Like, and then you meet a mom.
Out there somewhere that I should lay on.
Really, a beach. I want to be on the golf course.
Yeah, we do that every now and then. But yeah, there's a country to save, and we are not a quote Christian organization. We are nonpartisan, non-sectarian. But of course, as women, we are women of faith. And this country was founded by people of faith. And our Constitution and our Bill of Rights is informed by the Bible's truth. And so, absolutely, it is a safe place for moms of faith.
I saw a meme that you had, because I follow you on Instagram. Y'all should follow her. She's really good. And then you'll know when something's really happening or when they have something available. And Moms for America, too. The meme was Little House on the Prairie moms. And then it had moms of 2022 or something like that, or nowadays. And the Little House on the Prairie moms were like all the Little House on the Prairie moms with their hats, and they're standing in a row, and they're like, whatever, boarding the school, doing bake sales and stuff like that. And then the bottom one is like women on horses with swords, like they're warriors. They are warriors,
Hmm.
isn't it? Isn't it? Have I
Yes,
described it
yes,
correctly?
yes. Gladiator moms.
Gladiator moms.
I mean,
Exactly. I was trying to
not
think of
really.
it.
We're not, of course, we're not encouraging, moms to go into their sports to the school board meeting. This is a meme, people. But
Well,
to
I
your
don't
point,
know.
but to
Maybe
your point, in the spiritual realm, in
it
the
totally is.
spirit, the heart of a warrior, right?
It
Like
is
your
so
beautiful
true.
neck, I
Like my
keep seeing.
necklace. Mom,
I'm a warrior.
because we still
Love
have to be sweet. And it's not, I mean, yes, it's because we're Christians, but you can be pretty bold and be a Christian. But because you're not going to get anywhere if you're like being super super rude. But on the other hand, you have to be tenacious and you have to keep moving forward, know your battle, know the battle
it. Hmm.
belongs to the Lord, and not
Yes,
be afraid. And I have
that's
to
right.
tell you that even though those little house on the prairie moms looked really soft and sweet, I'll guarantee you, when it came to be life giving helicopter
Hmm.
moms, they were. They were probably eagle
That's right.
moms instead of helicopter moms.
I love it.
Oh my gosh. I want moms to be, I hope that you have been equipped today with
Mm,
all of this wonderful information. You can do this. And as a matter of fact, my little lecture to you from the bottom of my own heart um,
I love
tells you you're really going to have to. And it's not just public school, FYI. In our
it.
Christian school, the Christian school that is one of the best in the country, truly it is. And I still had to go in and say, I need to see the curriculum. I need to see the syllabus. And they did not want to give it to me. The teacher did
Hmm.
not. And I said, you can't tell me I can't have it. And she goes, well, it's not complete. I went, no, you have to give
Yes,
that to your people. I
that's
think it's
right.
in June. And
Yeah.
she was surprised that I knew
And
that.
that's another federal law, Mona,
I know. I
that
know
you
that
that
very
parents
well.
have the right they have the right to inspect upon request all curriculum. That actually includes teacher training.
Yes, and I did not know that before, but we didn't really have a problem with teacher training back then. Also, not just curriculum, because we
Yes.
went in and fought for curriculum and we got our curriculum. And then the
Yay!
superintendent made a ruling that said the teachers could bring in outside sources and
Hmm.
resources to supplement. And what
Hmm.
happened was those teachers were using that instead of the curriculum that we had gotten. So we needed to go back in and they're like, "Oh, well, we don't know what they're going to do." I'm like, "No, you have to know cuz I know you want to know. You want to make sure that we
Right.
haven't put stuff in there. I know
Mhm.
you want to know." So we got it. And we had to fight
Good
to
for
get some of
you.
that out. So
Good
it's
for
just
you.
and when we say fight, I think fight and is kind of a hard word. I think change and what's a better word? Persistent
Hmm.
change, deciding that you are not going to settle for something
Right.
because someone has said no.
Hmm.
I just want you moms to realize you raise 2-year olds. You know what to do when somebody says, no, me do it myself. No, you don't get to do it yourself. God gave you those kids, not the government. And
That's
in a government school, which I
right.
kind of
Hmm.
quit calling them public schools because
Hmm.
what does that mean, anyways?
Right.
So,
Right.
in a government school that's paid for by the government,
Hmm.
you you have a right. You have your rights. And thank the Lord that the founders gave us these rights and lawmakers protected us in what we do.
Yes.
Anyways, give them your best, Tamara, from the bottom of your heart. If you had one mama or a group of mamas that were sitting right in front of you and you wanted to give them one thing that you knew was just going to really be important for them to know, what would that be?
Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Fear not. You can rise up. You can stand boldly and graciously. And Mona, you have described it so perfectly. I am so just encouraged by your story. And mamas, just hear Mona's story and the persistence that she and the other moms had with the school and how effective that was. And you can stand up for your children. And we don't know all the outcomes, but we do know it is effective. And those folks are going to go home. They're going to be, doing the dishes or putting their head on their pillow, and they are going to think about those moms that came into the school that day. And they will feel pricked in their hearts that they've been asked and held accountable. So we can never underestimate the power of a mom standing up for her child.
That's beautiful. Well, little mamas, Tamra and I are praying for you. We're your tightest two girls for this and for all things motherhood. There are women that care about what you're going through as a mom. And,
Mm-hmm.
the Moms Like Us Academy, Moms for America, we're all
Mm-hmm.
about equipping you and helping you through this. We realize that you're in a difficult time, but you're not alone, and others have fought before you, and you can do this. You really can. Because you know what? Moms like us, we do things like this because we
Mm-hmm.
have to, because we're life givers and we're the
Mm-hmm.
protectors of the innocent, and that's the way
Yes.
God made us. So,
Mm-hmm.
Tamara, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Mona. I
It was
loved it.
really fun. I
So
can't wait till we're together in Florida in December.
it'll be
It's
awesome.
going to be fun. Okay, little mamas, you remember to join us again on Moms Like Us Do Things Like This. Bye.